Hey, Jason, how you doing? It's Bill.
Hey Bill, how's it going with you? Now I'm a good time. Yeah.
I caught you by surprise. It happens to me almost every day. So, what? Was I supposed to call this person? Yeah, but not till next Wednesday or something, that kind of thing. My disorganization is catching up with me at a fast clip, so you're cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's like when your schedule goes out of control for the first few days of the week. Oh my God, it's interesting. But hey, we got Chicago's best vocalist here with me tonight. So hope you're doing very well, Bill.
I'm doing fine, man. Everything's I'm busy, talking with lots of people all around the world about this album. Everybody's pretty interested in it. Seems to be knocking people out, everybody who's heard it. So, have you heard anything from it at all?
I did, and let me tell you, sound quality is just spectacular. I mean, it's very well mixed, it's
awesome.
Very well mastered, great product.
Yeah, the mixer was actually the drummer on half of the songs. His name is Alan Hertz, and he's I think one of my favorite Pro Tools engineers and mixers. His name is Hertz, as in megahertz.
Right,
It's part of his family. So he's got gearhead in his DNA.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Hertz are
his
right
outboard
there.
stuff is all just the top level, and even to the point of flying it to tape and bringing it back, which is the all-time outboard gear. And then the mastering engineer was Joe Gasworth, and he's remastered some Hendrix things over the years. He's done the Grateful Dead stuff. He's just a really, really good. And I brought my drive over to him to master the record, and he just said, "Well, I hope you're cool with this, because the first thing I'm going to do is put it to this really beautiful vintage 2-track machine, tape machine, and I'll master it off of that." And right there is your answer to how deep fat the thing sounds. He's really good. I mean, both those guys are what a team. I got lucky on that one.
So technically, he's going back to analog with this way.
A little bit. Well, it doesn't live in analog. It starts. I gave him digital, and he flew it to analog and did all the stuff in analog.
Okay.
All the mastering and the sequencing and the whole thing. And then he went right directly, once he was really done with all the mastering stuff on it, he flew it back to digital.
Okay.
But all the stuff, I've done it before. I did it with Alan one time on a mix where he mixed it, and the sound waves looked like kind of jagged, and he flew it to 2 tracks of a Studer, then flew the 2 tracks of the final mix to the Studer, and then brought it back, and it looked like a real warm little caterpillar. And it just adds something about the tape compression, just adds a certain feel to the music, which hey, it's working for me. I'm digging it. Anytime anybody says analog, I'm going, yeah, there.
Oh yeah, I mean, Livin For Love, this album. Where did most of the inspiration come from? To make it and find the tracks and working on it.
Well, I recorded it in Pro Tools, so I had plenty of tracks. That was never the problem, but it's just it's been 10 years. We just did a kind of a band album. My wife and a friend of mine, Gary Falcone, just did an album, Bill Champlin and Wonderground, WUNDERGROUND. And we did that a couple of years ago, but as far as solo albums, it's been 10 years, an easy 10 years since the last one I did. Maybe more, maybe 12, maybe 13. But, I was sitting in the house, we were all locked down, and I think that's the thing with the whole lockdown and being able to go out on the road and everything like that. There's going to be a lot of records coming out in 2021 because a lot of guys, I got to be musical. I can't play live. I guess I'll make an album. So a lot of people just went to their workstation in their studio, made records. They're all going to be coming out. I'm just one of them, But Tamara heard me do a song, which was actually, I just played it for just on acoustic guitar and vocal, just sitting here in the living room. And it was the song "Livin For Love." It was the first one I wrote for the album. And she said, "Okay, enough. You're done. You're doing an album now. You're ready for a solo album. You got so much stuff, and it's just sitting there. It's about time you really started your usual focus on a record. Because when I get into a record, everything else goes away. So in a lot of ways, it was great that I couldn't go out and do live because I could just stay focused on the one thing, on making the writing the songs, programming the basics, doing, I mean, the way I work is I usually do just my own drums, just to get the feel for it, and then I'll have a drummer replace it, just to get the sound and add his feel to it. But anybody who overdubs on my stuff, before it gets to them, it grooves. I get the pocket pretty well, so it makes it a lot easier for people to play along with it. So, and that's kind of how we did the record in a lot of ways. So it worked out pretty well. Got great people on it. Not a lot, but the ones that I got on it were just amazing musicians. So it's all systems were go. I got really lucky on a lot of levels. Got the right people at the right time. I had Mark Russo, who actually he plays sax with the Doobie Brothers and has been for years. But he was originally in Yellow Jackets. So I mean, he's a major player. He played for a long time with Kenny Loggins, and he played with my other band, Sons of Champlin. He played with us for a little while, quite a few years back, and we just remained really good friends. I called him and said, "You want to work?" He said, "Yeah, send me the stuff. I'll just do it here at the house." Boom. Yeah, he knocked off the second song on the album. It's a song called "Especially Me," which is basically a Greg Matheson groove. I got 3 Bill and Greg songs on the record, and we've written together and produced stuff together over the years for 20 years maybe. I mean, we're just old pals, and it was great to get Greg into it. But then Mark he did one stack of his horns to make a horn section thing, and on another tune he just played a solo. It's through the roof. I mean, it's just out of whack. It got so good. Like I say, he's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Really a great musician. So I mean, there's just nothing but performances like that all over the record, including and I kind of went after the lead vocals a little differently than I usually do, because I kind of spent a lot of years doing backgrounds and background vocals, background arrangements, and you got to kind of come from a different place to sing backgrounds and put them, get them in the pocket and put them in correctly. Then you do sing leads. Make sure that I didn't sing lead vocal on the same session that I did backgrounds. So I had time to, comfortably switch hats, as it were,
And
and try to. Yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, Bill, let's say you yourself being a multi-instrumentalist, I mean, in certain songs you'd be taking different instruments to maybe have different ideas, or you're just, concentrating on guitar on this one? How you're working on it?
All of it. Everything. Somebody said, what do you like doing better, singing or playing Hammond organ or playing piano or playing guitar? I said, it's all the same. To me, it's all the same. I mean, it's the same thing to put new strings on a guitar than it is to play it for me. It's all part of the same kind of organic thing that I do. This is the craft that I've chosen. And I play a lot of rhythm guitar on this record, all over the place. And then and a few leads. I play some of the little easy, relatively easier leads. But I definitely, because I brought in Carmen Grillo, played a solo on one tune, and a friend of mine, Tal Morris, from the Bay Area. He was with Creedence Clearwater Revisited for 10 years. He played with the Sons for a little while, and he's a monster guitar player. So I got a handful of good solo things going on the record. I brought in some really cool people. Steve Picaro did some work for me on it, on one of the tunes. He's just such a great programmer and synthesizer guy. I mean, look at all the stuff he's done with Toto. Forget about it. This guy's great. And what's really cool? This was all done by a lot of good friends, sitting around twiddling their thumbs and during the pandemic. I said, hey, man, you want to do some music? And then everybody went crazy, wow, this stuff's great. I'm in. Count me in. Throw me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Lenny Castro played on, I think, all but one song on the record.
So it's
great
good.
Percussionist, one of the all-time
It's
best.
great, Bill, to have great friends and, to make all this great stuff happen. It's incredible. And you're one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really spent a lot of time hanging out with Lenny Castro, but when I called him, we'd known each other, but not real closely. And I called him, asked him if he wanted to do it, and he was knocked out. He was absolutely knocked. He said, "This stuff's great. I'm having a ball. And he said, I should pay you." It's not going to work like that, but he's really a sweet guy. And I mean, he went on. I mean, him and Joe Bonamassa went out just as a duet, just percussion and guitar on a tour. And, you know, I mean, I saw it on a TV thing where they were playing the Opera House in Vienna, just a tour. Place was packed. I mean, and that's Lenny. Plus, Lenny's played with Toto for years, also.
Mm.
You know. So it's kind of cool to have people who really know what they're doing, and they're all aware of my music and what it's doing, and they all kind of went, whoa, this one's jumping even further ahead than normal. This one's swinging hard.
And you know,
that's Mark's. That's the. Hang on one second. Let me stop that ringing.
Certainly.
That's the phone that we use for. Listen to this. Pick it up and put it down. Mostly that phone has all the telemarketers on it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hi. What'd you do today? Well, I sat and talked to tapes all day long.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Bill,
So now, where are you located? Are you in Toronto or something?
I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. So.
Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So that'll be your East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it there. I remember Chicago was playing there one time, and I looked out the window and I saw icebergs in the bay. I was going, well, how about that? You don't see that in LA very often. That's for sure.
Well, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So cool, man. Well, hello everybody in Canada. Needless to say, I've worked with Canadians my whole life, my whole career. Spent a lot of time working with David Foster.
Yeah.
I've co-written a lot of material. Me and David and Jay Graydon wrote After the Love Is Gone. Three of us. We wrote it for my album, but they ended up giving it to Earth, Wind and Fire instead. Probably a good move in a lot of ways.
They're probably smart. They make money.
Yeah.
Let's say, Bill, the list of great musicians, producers, you name it. You've seen them, you've played with them, in music and participated in stuff. The list just keeps on growing. Does it still?
Somebody handed me, and this must have been maybe 20 years ago. Said, I put together a discography of all the sessions that you've done. I went, really?
Oh yeah.
Half of them I'd forgotten. And it was well over 300 songs. I mean, you get guys like, Steve Lukather or Jeff Porcaro and some of the John Robinson. And those guys are up in the thousands as to how many records they've done. But I did a good handful of records for a good little while. I was kind of working a lot in he was making records. There was not so much anymore. And if records are being made, they're doing it like I'm doing it. They're doing it in their homes.
And doing records now, let's say, is it like a relief for you? Is it easier? Is it less stressful? How do you look at it? The situation.
Well, during the pandemic, it was just something to do, so I wouldn't just drive myself crazy doing
right.
nothing. So I mean that was really good. I think there are a lot of musicians that have made albums in the last year. I mean, we're probably going to see more new records in 2021 than there were babies after the New York blackout. It's like, just because I know everybody I know at some point started doing a record because they had nothing else to do. And in some ways, not being on the road makes your writing and your performing on the record. For some reason, it makes it more focused. My pipes are a little bit better if I'm not, doing really long tours and stuff like that. Sounding like, hey man, what's happening?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to sing a real pretty song, So in some ways, without doing live, it kind of gives you a little bit more stuff for to do on a record. So that ended up working in its own way pretty well. But I'm about done with it. I think California just locked down. Even outdoor dining they've outlawed.
Okay.
So there's really nothing going on in California. It's rough. I mean, Tamara and I are going to probably drive to her sister's house in Houston, Texas for Christmas.
Wow.
At least we can go out. We can go out and hang a little bit. So it's been rough for everybody, but I think music once again gives everybody a kind of safe harbor, you know.
Bill, do you foresee, like in the, let's say, near future, that gigs will continue growing again, or is it, are we stuck online now? Is this the new way of the music industry? You've seen a lot.
Well, yeah, you mean like bands playing on Zoom? Well,
Yeah.
it can be done. There's some friends of mine that work out a lot of Santa Fe and San City. Just go online, check them out. And they just got tired of just doing Zoom from their houses and everything. So they go to the place, the Monday night gig that they've had for years. They go there, they set up a bunch of plexiglass between each horn, because there's a 5-piece horn section, 5 or 6. And it's kind of safe, and they do it. They got real decent cinematographers and everything to do their shows, and they do shows every 2 weeks, and it's not as weird as looking at just the squares of different people with different houses playing the same music. I mean, I'm glad that there's the technology to do that, but I look at it, I keep expecting somebody to start singing the Brady Bunch theme.
And what was that name of the band again?
Pardon me?
What was the name of the band again?
It's probably the best band on the earth. It's called Santa Fe.
Okay.
And the Fat City Horns.
Okay.
Really, really good. I mean, some of the guys in the rhythm section have played in 1 or 2 of my bands over the years. They got a 6-piece horn section. They are on fire. The arrangers, a couple of horn arrangers, the keyboard player and the trombone player arrange. They're at the top of their game. They're really doing stuff. They got 5 singers. They'll knock you out. Great rhythm section. It's just flying. Totally flying.
But one thing that's good for you is, like, let's say with radio promotion, internet promotion, you name it, with interviews, is going to boost you. Is going to boost, the significance of the album, etc. Without the concerts.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Shauna O'Donnell has been. I mean, she set me up to have this phone call with you, and she works for the record company that's going to be in charge of my digital release.
Good.
So my digital release will be on Imagen Records, and Shauna works for Imagen Records, and she's hooked me up with all kinds of Zoom calls and telephone interviews, and she's been just great. I haven't had a record that I really felt like spending a lot of time promoting. Let the record company do it. It's just, if this day and age, at this point of the game with the music business the way it is, I think it really comes down, if you want it done, you kind of got to do it yourself as much as you can, And that's what I've noticed with a lot of musicians that are still keeping it going. They're really involved in their own promotion, and I mean, we're actually going to sell the CDs ourselves from my website, which is BillChamplin.com /shop, and the record will be available there after probably about the second week of January.
Okay.
So, and the cover, there's this artist who we all really love. This one artist. It's my co-producer, but this one artist, a painter from Hawaii. His name is Vladimir Kush. He had this gorgeous picture that he had painted. It started with a keyboard, but it's got clouds. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. We actually licensed it to use it for the front cover. I just went, this may cost us a little more, but it's really worth it. Look at how gorgeous this is. You find, ask this artist down the street to do that. He can't. So that's how the CD itself is going to be. It's going to have that. It's just beautiful.
Good
Cover I've ever seen.
Well, Bill, I really appreciate you.
I kind of went on this one. This one's important to me. I want to make this whole package as good as I can. Get the credits and lyrics right, and do the whole thing. That's kind of where it's at this point. I really believe in the record.
Well, I think it's going to be a very good product when it comes out, and just keep on doing the great work, Bill. Thank you very much for taking the time with me tonight.
Great, Jason. Thanks. I'm sorry we had a little mix-up on time, but it worked out fine. And,
Yeah.
All well that ends well, I guess.
Absolutely, and I wish you super good chances and everything in life down in good old California, because the world's not a good looking place at this moment.
Yeah, things are a little nutty, I must admit. But once again, I would be caught up in politics if it wasn't for the fact that long before I even knew there was politics, I was caught up in music, and I see how crazy people are pointing fingers at each other, blaming everybody for everything. And I just kind of went, I think now's a good time to do as much music as I can, because it doesn't act like that.
Yeah.
The people that I know love each other, and this the way the world should be. That does seem to be at the moment. Things are flying pretty hard, So I just pray for the best. I pray that things work out for the best.
Yeah, and it will come out good.
Yeah.
And you just keep on playing some music.
Great. Thank you so much for spending the time with me.
You are very welcome. You have a great evening.
And give my regards to the country of Canada. I miss going up there. I went up there a lot for a while.
Well, maybe soon you'll be coming back down playing some gigs.
Hope so. I'm in.
I don't
if
blame
you.
you.
See me anywhere nearby, come by and tap me on the shoulder and remind me who you are, and let's get some hang time. Bag down a nice, strong Canadian cup of coffee. That'll do the trick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it will.
All
okay,
right.
man. Be good.
You as well. You be good too. Bye.
All right, Jason. Bye-bye.
Later.